You might have clicked on the video wanting to ask me that FutureCanoe, what is life about? And I'd gladly answer that it's about perspectives. For example, with the amount of potato videos we've made on the channel, you might assume I'm perpetually sitting on the couch unbothered even by a wedgie. But I see myself as a man who loves veggies. There's no other category for potatoes other than vegetables, so it's not a steak and frites, it's a high protein salad. Today we're taking a look at the 10 best potato recipes on the internet and ranking them from last to first place. As a first step of preparation, we're gonna peel 2 5-pound bags of them, 10 pounds in total. What a great start. We talked about this before, there are over 200 types of potatoes in the world, mostly from Peru. We're gonna use exclusively Yukon Gold today because it's my favorite. Starting with the 10th place of the list, Parmesan potatoes. This is a pretty popular recipe at one point on TikTok, but just a side note, everybody I've seen online who made this recipe resemble that of a rich lady from a way higher social class than me. But the reason why this recipe attracts the elites is in its simplicity. All we need to do is cut potatoes into small chunks, preferably we're using smaller potatoes to begin with, and season with salt, pepper, chopped rosemary, garlic powder, cayenne, a spice blend known as whatever I have in my house. Toss them in some oil and find whatever non-stick surface you have to make it easier. If you don't have it, just use a parchment paper. You also want to grate way more cheese than you expect to, and a lot of people mix it with oil and stuff, but you really don't need it. There's a lot of oil in it already, and you want to make it a little dry so it gets crispy. Finally, we'll season the spaced potatoes evenly apart. Preheat the oven to 375. I'm going to bake it for 30 minutes or until the potatoes cooked. Yukon Gold takes a little bit more time than a normal russet, but the flavor and the creaminess is unbeatable. Like a boiled Yukon with nothing in it and just some salt already tastes like mashed potatoes. It's crazy. You know what's crazier? This flip over here. Yeah. It kind of looks like those pot sticker plates at ramen restaurants. Baked, crystallized Parmesan cheese connecting roast potatoes. How can this be bad? Let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. Golden potato and golden crispy parm. We're starting the video with an 8.7 out of 10. It's gonna get infinitely closer to 10 out of 10. Today's just gonna get better by the minute. Moving on to the 9th place. As Max the meat guy demonstrated to us, anything can be an accordion if you want it to be. The secret here is just to leave a little bit of space at the bottom without cutting it through. Once perpendicular like this, we'll flip it over and at a 45-degree angle and do the same thing. Whenever something's accordioned, it gets a lot of views. I never understood the hype because I feel like it's supposed to increase surface area to get more like Maya reaction, I guess. But the potato just springs back, so it seems like a lot of work for a minimal amount of gains. We're frying with stainless steel. We gotta heat it so hot the water starts dancing. I think I'm just realizing one of the biggest advantage of accordion something. It makes it so much quicker to cook. Instead of a big block of vegetable or meat, you cut it into like thin slices so when you fry it, it steams the inside and it cooks everything evenly and faster. In terms of seasoning, I guess the salt falls through the crack so it gets on the inside. I'm starting to change my opinion towards accordions. Let's do a video where we try to accordion everything. I'm gonna give this an 8.8 out of 10. You see me slicing, so you know we're making a potato dauphinoise, or I call it the dauphinoise. So that's about 2 potatoes all sliced up. You can use a knife if you want and chop up some onions. Half a cup of milk and a 1/4 cup of butter. My dad's still not back, so I don't have milk. I'm gonna combine the butter and the milk into 1 cup of heavy cream. We add the garlic into the cream and proceed to grate a whole pound of Gruyere cheese. I am so close to running out of my never-ending raclette, so we're gonna have to do another video soon. The assembly is quite easy. We're gonna grease up the bottom of the baking dish and then layer up the potatoes one off another, kind of like this. Spoon in half the cream with a little bit of garlic throughout, have the cheese sprinkled on this layer, and then we'll stuff it down with another layer of potatoes. On top of that, another layer of whatever, you guys know what's up. So just get everything ready. We'll cover it with a piece of foil into the oven at 350 for an hour and 15 minutes covered. And due to our previous experiences with overflowing and potential fire hazards, I'm gonna put this dish on top of another plate. Look at that, there's very few things that's more comforting than the sight of cheese bubbling. While the oil on the surface is still hot, we're gonna sprinkle in a bunch of chives to activate that like herbaceousness. That residual heat is gonna bring out more flavor from the chives. This is looking way better than I expected and it's surprisingly easy to put together. It's pretty much like slicing stuff and putting cream on top of it. And I'm realizing how effective cream is in making everything come together into a complete dish. With the same method and technique, you can pretty much do this to every type of vegetable, I assume. So let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. That cream, garlic, salt, cheese all combined and baked into the potato is such a great way to impose flavor onto things. I'll eat broccoli if it's prepared this way. You know what? I'll even eat your shoelaces. So we're giving it a 9 out of 10. And from now on, we're stepping into the near perfect dishes. You might have noticed in this video my brand new set of beautiful stainless steel pots and pans. All thanks to today's sponsor, Made in Cookware. Their stainless glass quality is trusted by chefs in 3 Michelin star restaurants all over the country, such as Alinea in Chicago and La Bernardin in New York City. Crafted in the US and Italy, the 5-ply stainless steel construction means superior heat retention and control, which are the 2 most important elements in cooking on a stovetop. So whether you're searing, sauteing, simmering, you get perfect results every time. The ergonomic handle stays cool on the stovetop, and the rolled rim lets you pour sauces without making a mess. Plus, it's oven safe up to 800 degrees, so you can go straight from the stovetop into the oven without thinking twice. Most importantly, the material is completely without coating and is non-reactive, ensuring zero leaching of metals or chemicals into your food. Professional chefs trust Made In for a reason, and now you can bring that same quality into your home kitchen. Check out Made In's stainless collection and their other cookware using the link in my description and save on your order. This next recipe is definitely one of my favorites. We made it exactly twice on this channel already, but we'll have to bring it back because how good it is.
2 potatoes.
2 potatoes.
Cut a circle.
Cut a circle.
Boil for 30 minutes until they turn soft.
Boil for 30 minutes till they turn soft.
Go through iced water. Then
Go through iced water and then... We've talked about this before, but I'm always just so unbelievably cringed out by my own voice when I watch these old videos. Anyway, so after the whole 2 potato cut a circle thing, we're gonna have to mash it up. I don't have a masher because I have a much more versatile and superior tool, the Ligma fork. To the mixture, that's 2 tablespoons of mochi flour, 2 tablespoons of potato starch. Season it a little bit with salt and pepper. Once we mix that together, we're ready to move on to the stovetop. With the oil heating towards 350, we're gonna like crumble it into these little balls and just pinch it with a fork like a gnocchi shape. Should have done it before starting to heat up the oil because that took such a long time. Want to try our best to put them in individually because there's mochi flour, starch in it. They might be sticking to each other. Like what's happening here. Once they go into the oil, they get all wet, sticky, and clingy and nasty like me in my last relationship. I'm trying my best to separate it with a spoon or a pair of chopsticks, but once I put it back in, they just like go back together again. I think I figured out why. I measured the oil real quick and it was like 250. We're supposed to be at around 350 to 375, so the low oil temperature is causing them to release too much moisture and not taking shape on the outside. Once I turned the heat all the way up, they became crispy immediately, so if you're doing this at home, make sure the oil is hot. Here we have our potato pillows ready. It looks very different from the original, and the paper towel I put under is like completely soaked. It's like my shirt after I walk up 2 flights of stairs. So I'm getting a little concerned that this is just gonna oil up my mouth instantly. So let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. It's actually way better than I thought. It's like very airy. I guess the oil all drained out into the paper towel. The inside is very fluffy and a little bit of that chewy texture you get from the mochi flour. And the outside is obviously super crispy. It is a little greasier than I remember last time we made it. It's crazy how oil just tries to kill you with all different type of temperature range. If it's too high, it explodes and kill you instantly. If it's too low, it soaks up all into the food and it kills you in a long-term heart health type of way. This is gonna be a potato and leek soup. We made it once before, and in the video I didn't give it a high score because I didn't like it at first, but after I stopped recording I was just like hanging around the house and I just kept going back to it and ended up becoming addicted. And can anybody in the comments tell me how you're supposed to clean off these dirt like wrapped inside of the leeks? Am I supposed to like peel each layer one by one and just to scrub it? Definitely no time for that. I'm just gonna give it a haircut and just eat the dirt that's left in the leek. Same as usual, getting dirty in my mouth in quite a literal way. Also chop some garlic, some bay leaf and thyme in a sachet, chicken stock to cover up the potatoes, and this is pretty much it. Maybe a little bit cream later. We just gave some color to the leek with the butter. Just pour the stock potato sachet all together, bring it to a simmer, and keep that going for 20 minutes or so. Finish it off with the cream inside. Mix that together, we're ready to get to the tasting. Our leeks today are relatively on the smaller side. Usually a potato leek soup I think is 50-50 in terms of the ratio between the vegetable and potato. So the color we have today is more yellow than green. I added some chives and truffle powder on top. You can do some olive oil if you want. Let's give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. It's very comforting. A potato soup is like eating mashed potatoes without having the need to chew. I guess you don't really chew for mashed potatoes anyway, but you know what I'm saying. So just like last time, at first it's like an 8.3, and by the 4th or 5th bite, it becomes like a 9.3. Trust me, bro. This recipe is inspired by this lady.
Whether you're an avid cook or a beginner who's new in the kitchen, you need to make this. I really love making these because it's so easy and I always have leftover potatoes.
I never have leftover potatoes because when I know they're in the fridge, I can't sleep and I just wake up late at night and gobble them up like a monster. So to about 400-450 grams of boiled potatoes, we'll add in 1/4 cup of potato starch. In the video, she used mozzarella. I'm gonna use Gruyere here. It's the slightly less pungent cousin of the raclette. We'll take a piece of dough, 4 to 6 ounces, flatten it a little bit, put a small block of cheese in the middle, and just roll it into like a pancake shape. So cute. And then to a really hot pan while adding a thin layer of oil and start frying the potato pancakes. And in this same footage, I also did 2 consecutive backflips while jumping over a Lamborghini, like speed. Too bad I lost it. I was super excited to show you guys. On medium heat, 3 to 4 minutes on each side. The potatoes are already cooked and the starch in it just needed to be warmed up to have that like chewy texture. We're basically just giving the outside some texture at this point. Chive is just like the perfect garnish for potatoes. This is so much better than our attempt last time. You can see the surface has like little crispy bubbles popping up. Didn't stick to the pan at all, and let's check out this cheese pull. Not bad at all. I'm gonna give you that cross-section satisfying squeeze thing. You know what, it's not worth the hand burn. Let's just give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. I can't believe I placed it at number 5. This is definitely top 3 material. I think it's just last time I poorly executed it. The chewy, tender, cheesy inside completed with a crispy layer. The potato dough is very mild and earthy, which accentuate the pungency and the flavors of the Gruyere. Like by the looks of it right here, you just know it's super satisfying to take a bite out of it. Maybe the only way to make it better is to deep fry it, but that's my answer to everything. 9.5 out of 10, much better than expected. This is from that potato 100 different way lady on Tasty. When she finishes that series, we should try to make all 100 recipes in one single video. But for the potato pom-pom, we cut a flat bottom, stand it up, and with chopstick on the bottom, just start cutting it almost all the way through like the accordion we done before.
You fucked up.
Starting over, we'll just slice a bunch at a perpendicular angle. Shouldn't be that hard. I don't know how I messed it up earlier. And then to a couple tablespoons of potato starch, we're gonna season it with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and cayenne, and coat the whole potato pom-pom all over it. Make sure you like open it up to get all the milk and grannies. Looking like a hedgehog jerky. It's not as crispy as I expected. I'm suspecting it's because the low oil temperature again. I think I executed it very poorly today. It's not as good as I remember. In fact, it's not good at all. It tastes like a soggy french fry that's like at the same time dry. There might be 2 reasons. In the video, they used flour instead of starch. Also, you gotta fry it at a higher oil temperature. Finally, we're stepping into the top 3 potato recipes ever been on the channel. The third one will be the shepherd's pie from Joshua Wiseman. So starting with a large carrot, we're gonna small dice it. 1 to 2 sprigs of celery, because we'll be eating it and putting it into the dish. I try to remove as much fiber on the outside as possible, like just generally breaking it off and peeling it a little bit. We'll also dice it along with 4 ounces of mushrooms, and finally chop a whole onion. The recipe calls for yellow onion because it's the most flavorful, but I only have white, which is the mildest onion. That's why like white onions usually served raw. So here are all our vegetables, a lot of aromatics and some mushroom. I don't know why there's mushroom in it. Moving on to the meat. The recipe calls for 2.5 pounds of ground beef, as well as 6 ounces of ground bacon. I don't think that exists. And as you guys remember, all the ground beef I've been getting for my videos lately are so gray and questionable, just super oxidized. And I think I keep getting sick from them. So I got these like pretty high quality, guaranteed no food poisoning steak. And I'm just gonna chop it a lot into ground beef. How hard can it be, you know? I think I just committed my afternoon to something I don't want to do anymore. But anyways, these are done in a way that's very ethical, and I don't want to talk about it. But we have the meat, vegetables, mushrooms all ready to go. So let's move on. Forget about this the same way I do to interactions with my uncle during holidays. So to have the best sear, best color in terms of my reaction in the pan, you want the meat to be more cohesive. So it's best to knead it a little bit like a dough before we sear it. So in a burning hot pan, no oil, nothing. We're just going to lay down the meat raw. We'll let it sear, develop some color because there's a couple pieces of bacon in it. It's going to release a lot of fat. Once the bits coming out of the side is looking brown, we can turn it over. Doing the same thing to this other side. We want to get as much color on there as possible because once we break it up, it's not going to color that much. Also season with pepper. The steak is already salt brine and the bacon's salty, so I'm not going to put any more salt in it. Now it's time to mash it up. Moments like this reminds me maybe I do need a masher. I didn't use the Ligma fork. Even though it's superior, I didn't want it to be thrown into such big hard pieces of meat, you know. I don't think it can handle it. Without overcooking the meat, we'll take it out, add some more butter to the pan, and in goes all the vegetables. The moisture from the vegetables should be released, and like you can scrape off all the fond from earlier. The heat should be on maximum to make it easier to scrape it off. While it's cooking and getting color, we'll chop up some rosemary and thyme and add into it. When the color darkens, we'll add 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I don't have tomato paste, so I'm adding 4 tablespoons of pizza sauce, as well as 4 tablespoons of your sister's sauce, half a cup of wine, add back in the meat, mix it up. It's pretty much done at this point. We don't want to overcook the vegetables or the meat. It's a pie, it's not a puree soup. But I am gonna add about half a cup of stock to it to make it less dry. You can give it a taste at this point, adjust the seasoning, and we're ready to move on to the mashed potatoes. Same as usual, mash it up with the Ligma fork, and half a cup of heavy cream. It has to be hot, because when you hit hot potatoes with cold liquid, it kind of makes it taste watery. I don't have the explanation to this, but the 2 rules I learned about potatoes is 1, never to blend it in a blender, 2, never add cold liquid into it. Finally, we're doing 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream. It says it expired on February 10th, and today is February 12th. It's only 2 days past the expiration date. Plus, expiration dates are just merely suggestions. I ate so much expired foods in my life and I turned out fine. I mean, not the best, but it's alright. Time to assemble. I'm using a pie dish to respect the name shepherd's pie. Apparently, traditional shepherd's pie is made of lamb, beef, and bacon, so all 3 animals. Like I said it before, if it's in America, it's more of a rich Republican landowner's pie. We'll top it off with a mash, smooth it out. The final step is the most exciting one. We're gonna first grate on top a layer of parmesan for that depth of flavor. And on top of that, we'll do a lot of Gruyere. Ideally, you want to grate it until your arm is tired, but my arm is never tired from years of training back in high school. A little bit of pepper on top, into the oven at 375 for 20 minutes. Didn't speak back there because I feel like no words needs to be spoken. This is actually the best shepherd's pie I've ever had in my life, because the only other time was when we made it the first time and we kind of messed it up back then. There's so much flavor and a hint of acidity coming from the meat and vegetables. All that just gets completed by the creamy mashed potatoes, and as a maraschino cherry on top, there's cheese. Definitely a 9.5 out of 10. Gotta put this away before my roommate comes back because it's looking a little dirty. This one is really low effort for tremendous results. We'll first remove the little black dots on the surface of the skin and put it into cold water and start boiling it till it's cooked through. And then we'll just smash it down with my new steel press. It should be very easy from now on. It's okay, it's just the surface being a little bit too dry. We'll put some oil on it, it's gonna solve the problem. All gonna go smoothly. Okay, I guess parchment paper is the way to go. Now I have to clean one extra tool. And on top of the smashed potato, we'll put a lot of duck fat. As you know, duck fat and potatoes is like peanut butter and jelly. The earthiness and the gaminess just work together perfectly. After some seasoning, we'll put it in a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. They should be pretty crispy at this point. We're gonna take it one level further by putting on some smashed garlic and hella parmesan cheese on top. Increase it to 410 more minutes. The edges got a little bit charred, but in a good way, you know. All the garlic is fried up, very crispy, and some of it like stuck onto the potato. You already know it's gonna be good. Since it's boiled, so it's like mashed potato in the center, and the outside is so cheesy crispy. And the garlic and duck fat, I don't think I need to tell you how good it is with potatoes. This one deserved the number 2 spot because of how easy it is and low effort, and the taste is a straight up 9.6 out of 10. Finally, we arrived at number 1 recipe of the day. Top of the hill, peak of the mountain, top G, numero uno. It's the potato noodle recipe that's been made many times on the internet. And the last time we tried to make it, we weren't really precise about the measurement, so it ended up being pretty hard to deal with. So this time we're gonna measure everything. Starting with about 500 grams of potatoes. We'll boil and mash it up. To that, we're gonna add 400 grams of potato starch and half a cup of water. But hold on the water, don't add it just yet. I feel like I overcooked the potato a little bit. It's really moist right now. Once it's looking a little granular, we'll switch to our hand and start kneading. Usually I found that potato starch takes a little bit of time to activate with moisture to become more stretchy. So we should knead it really well and give it some time to rest before adding more water to it. Once we have the dough, we'll roll it into a small flat ball, poke it with a water bottle to make the mushroom cap shape, and then repeat a bunch of times. I don't get this shape though. Why does it have to be a mushroom cap? It doesn't even do that great of a job in catching sauces because once you boil it, it expands and closes up the crack. Now drop them into boiling water, avoiding sticking to each other in the bottom. The instruction says once they float up, it's done. Doesn't look like it, so I'm gonna give it more time. When it's puffing up and floating up, I'm assuming that now it's done. Before we prepare the sauce, we're just gonna start heating up the oil on the stove top. So I did some vegetable oil and some duck fat. Duck fat in that spicy garlic potato noodle. You know I know what's up. We'll put the noodle back into a bowl. 2 tablespoons of gochugaru, 2 tablespoons of coarse chili powder, a teaspoon of Taiwanese brown sugar, a tablespoon of light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and a tablespoon of Chinese black vinegar. Before the noodles get stuck to each other, we're gonna very quickly chop up some garlic, having a panic attack over here, and I don't have scallions, so I'm doing some chives. Finish with some sesame, and of course the most important shot of the video is blurry. How do you get your camera to focus inside the bowl rather than on the rim? After we mix it all up, we're gonna lay it out very beautifully on a plate. More sesame and chives, and this is looking insane. It's actually a very easy recipe with minimal ingredients. I guess last time I felt really complicated because I was stupid. I already know the score, but let's still give it a taste and rate it 1 through 10. Well, first of all, the texture is very chewy. The potato dough provides such a good canvas to take on the sauce, and the sauce is basically just a flavor explosion. Very savory, lots of umami. You got a hint of sweetness from the sugar and the acidity from the vinegar. Overall, very balanced but intense at the same time. I can't recommend this recipe enough. You gotta try it with some potatoes at home, and I promise you're gonna start to be thinking about it once in a while. This is gonna be a 9.9. I think this is the highest score we've ever given to any dish on this channel. So, as always, in a moment like this, I always have to sing a song to express my emotion. Fever dream high in the quiet of the night, you know that I caught it. Fever dream high in the quiet of the night, you know that I caught it. Anyways, here are my top 10 favorite potato recipes we've made together. Hope you can try them at home. I always wonder, do you guys actually make stuff from my videos? If you do, send me a picture on Instagram. I'm pretty curious to see how it looks. Maybe I can post it and you guys can roast each other. So let me know. Alright, thank you.